our toilet paper's gone. I can't get toilet paper. Nope, not that one. Chicken's gone. Nope, not that one. What about our soap and our hand sanitizer? Can't get it. Nope, not that one. What I'm talking about are the unintended consequences that we face because of the lockdown. Oh? Yeah, because of the lockdown. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Mark Warnick. I have a PhD in public safety, and I'm considered a subject matter expert in public safety by not one, but 2 universities. Don't forget to get your copy of the Doctor of Disasters book, Emergency Incident Management Systems, at Amazon.com. So today I would like to discuss the shortages that the coronavirus are causing. Now, you may think that I'm talking about toilet paper. Our toilet paper's gone. I can't get toilet paper. No, not that one. Chicken's gone. Nope, not that one. What about our soap and our hand sanitizer? Can't get it. Nope, not that one. What I'm talking about are the unintended consequences that we face because of the lockdown. Oh? Yeah, because of the lockdown. Here's the issue. Right now, colleges, universities, training entities cannot train the future of public safety. So these cause unintended consequences. Yes, we need to isolate. However, we have not thought this all the way through because we are creating a larger shortage of emergency workers. The reason? Our colleges, universities, and all of our basic training stuff has been shut down. So let's look at this. At this point, we have no nurses going to school. They can't do their hands-on. They can't practice CPR, check for someone that's short of breath in person. They cannot do chest compressions. They cannot see edema. They cannot do this. They cannot do that. So how are we going to train them? Well, we're going to have to wait until this is over, start them again. However, let's look at this. Let's seriously look at this. If we don't train nurses through the spring and summer, and then we go into August, and August, September, when schools start up again, colleges and universities, what happens if coronavirus hits again next fall? How are we going to train them? How are we going to ensure that we have enough people? We have baby boomers retiring right now. Let's talk about paramedics. There has been a paramedic shortage for the last 5 to 10 years, nationwide. Part of the reason is these paramedics don't get enough pay. Believe it or not, most of them only make $12 to $15 an hour. Not only do they get enough pay, they feel like they're not respected by their supervisors. Yes, a lot of them will come up with ideas and their supervisor either ignores it or the supervisor thinks he's got almighty in it. He didn't come up with the idea that it's no good. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a few very good supervisors out there, but they're few and far. No one has taught them how to be a leader, which is a downfall of public safety, a true downfall of public safety. We also need to talk about EMTs. EMTs are in a shortage and have been. EMTs typically make $10 to $12 an hour. Not very much. Once again, they have supervisory problems. And there's other things, but this is just some of them. Let's look at law enforcement. Everyone has been complaining about a shortage of law enforcement. They can't get people that want to sign up to be cops anymore. And we have been canceling the academies. Why? Because of coronavirus. Okay, so if we open an academy in August or September and they start, what's to say that the coronavirus or some other virus, maybe a mutation of the old virus, comes back and kicks our butts again? We are heading down a very scary road, and one that doesn't allow us to properly train the public safety professionals that we need. Think about the doctors that, the med students that are trying to become doctors. They've had a stunted time. Now, if there's interns out there, most of those are being put into service, even though they haven't completed their internship. But what about the med students that are becoming doctors? What do we do with those? What about emergency managers? That's another thing. We have tons and tons of emergency managers out there. However, because someone doesn't have experience in something, some of the older emergency managers don't want them. I'm sorry. Right now should show everyone that's an emergency manager that we need to have plenty of hands on deck for when the big one comes. This coronavirus, it's a big one. We are stretching our resources to the limits, and there's nothing we can do but keep on going. I myself, I am extremely high risk. I have multiple factors that coincide with the threat from coronavirus. So, as a baby boomer, I'm not capable of going to the EOC or helping respond to some of these because it would put me severely at risk. So, what have I done? I'm sitting at home and I'm helping by consulting with emergency operations centers that are trying to muddle their way through something that hasn't happened in their lifetime before. There's a lot that we can do to help them reduce risks for public safety workers, but we're going to need replacement public safety workers in the very near future. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. I believe the last statistic, and I could be wrong, I heard, was from a gentleman in Tennessee that said the state of Tennessee was down 35% on paramedics and EMTs. I've also heard that the state of Illinois is substantially down on EMTs, And I believe it was the National Registry of EMTs that said there's a shortage of people willing to come up and work as an EMT or a paramedic. So what are we going to do about this? How are we going to handle this? I know that myself, I'm extremely worried. Are we going to have to accelerate classes to get them through? Will there be enough individuals interested in this after this pandemic? Are they going to say, whoa, no way, I'm not putting my life at risk? Or are they going to come in droves? We don't know. We do know that we've got a shortage of emergency medical personnel. Quite the shortage. And unless we start recruiting now, we are going to have a major problem. We need to start recruiting nurses to go into nursing school. We need to start recruiting EMTs and paramedics. We need to look at pay raises, supply and demand. The more we pay them, the more likely someone is to become a paramedic, a nurse, or an EMT. Let's face it, is it worth $10 to $15 an hour to work a 24-hour shift or a 12-hour shift and run constantly, being beaten down, lifting up everyone from 20-pound children to 700-pound people that are morbidly obese? What about the stress? What about the responsibility and the potential for lawsuits? Is that really worth $15 an hour? What about your nurses? They too have to have medical liability insurance. So, we are headed down a scary road. What about firefighters? Firefighters, volunteer firefighters especially, have gone downhill substantially. The numbers have been reducing. Who's going to respond if they don't? What about paid firefighters? They're having problems finding firefighters too. What we have in this country is a shortage of public safety workers, and that's a crying shame. These kids, we're not teaching them what it is to serve our communities. A lot of these kids are all about me. It's me, 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 me. Parents, you need to start talking to your children about how they can be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. Administrators, start taking your people serious. Start looking at paying them more. Start looking at when they have a suggestion to at least listen to it and give it the weight it needs. If we lose a large quantity of these public safety workers, how safe are we going to be? There may be also, and this is just my opinion, part of the downfall may be partially because we've had to spread public safety out so far. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're on a fire department nowadays, you're not just a firefighter. You're usually an EMT or a paramedic. You have to be a hazmat spill specialist. You have to worry about trench rescue. You may need to do water rescue or high-angle rescue, high-rise rescue, high-rise firefighting. Perhaps we blade too much on the fire departments. What about the EMTs? Not only do they respond to emergencies, but they handle transfers. Maybe we need to start getting local EMTs and transfer staffs. Let's start dividing up the duties. Who wants to work 12 hours of a shift or 14 almost constantly and then take a 300-mile one-way trip to deliver someone to another hospital? Wouldn't that wear them out? Isn't that unsafe? What about law enforcement, who always has to worry about, did they do the right thing? We've become such a litigious society that it is almost impossible for people to do their job without worrying about what can happen to them. Is it really worth law enforcement to worry about someone that may take your house and everything you work for your family? How fair is that? Now, granted, there are some bad actors in law enforcement. Don't get me wrong. But the vast majority want to help their community. Nurses. Most nurses are the most caring people I've ever seen. And there are some bad apples. Doctors. Most doctors are, unless they've been in the business a long time, actually care about people. So maybe we should, one, start educating children on the need. Two, start paying nurses and firefighters and law enforcement and emergency managers and all of these more money. Give them more respect. We can obviously see that they demand our respect during this coronavirus outbreak. And let's start working to build the numbers of public safety. Public safety is the last line of defense against so much. So much. And we throw them bones. Let's start talking to our politicians. Hey, we need good firefighters. Pay them a little bit. Don't cut them short. Many of these public safety workers, these nurses, all of these get few, if any, raises. And normally there's cents on the dollar. Let's stand up for our public safety. Let's make sure they have everything they need. Thank you. And until next time, subscribe and like so that you can get the lowdown on public safety. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. The Doctor of Disaster is a wholly owned subsidiary of Warnick and Associates Incorporated.